Rajara. How are you, sir?
Please go ahead, sir. We are live now. We are live now, ma'am.
Yeah, Mr. Rajura is still not audible.
A very good afternoon to everyone. Am I audible now?
Yes, Mr.
Savi?
Rajura, yes, you are audible.
Okay. So we'll a very good afternoon to everyone. I have great pleasure in welcoming our chairman, Mr. Gautam Wali, chairman of the Direct Selling Council, and Mr. Deepak Chawda, co-chair of the National Council on Direct Selling of ASSOCHAM. I also welcome all the experts, speakers, and participants to this important webinar today. My special welcome to international speakers, and thanks to Chavi for connecting with them, and they have very kindly agreed to be joining us this time. And with this, may I now request Mr. Bali to kindly present the industry perspective. Begin with our chairman, Mr. Bali, please. But we are not able to hear you. Yeah, it's okay.
I hope I'm audible now, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. In that case, I'll have to speak a little loudly. Okay. Dear ladies and gentlemen, I take this opportunity to showcase the spirit of resilience displayed by the Indian direct selling industry in overcoming the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic, which has had a deafening and adverse impact on overall health of the global economy. Before I start my presentation on changing dynamics of direct selling industry during COVID-19 pandemic, I would like to request all the fellow panelists to observe a minute of silence for our countrymen who have succumbed to the virus during the devastating upsurge of the second wave. My heartfelt condolences to their families during this time of sorrow. Thank you so much. In my presentation, I would start by talking about India's economy during COVID-19, the pandemic and its adverse impact on employment and the MSME sector. Further, I will talk about creative and articulated response of the industry when chips of economy are down during these uncertain times. During these unprecedented crises, direct selling industry has envisaged a pathway that is the digital movement, which displays adaptation, transition, and transformation of the industry during these uncertain times. Other industries in India can also learn from the strategies and the tactics which the industry has adopted. I'm also thankful to industry leaders for their august presence and participation in the webinar. The flow of our interaction, before I start my address on today's presentation on changing dynamics for direct selling during COVID-19 pandemic, I'm reminded of a famous quote by a world-renowned author, that is, tough time never lasts, but tough people do. It is my privilege to set the tone of today's interaction on the resilient turnaround by the direct selling industry during these unprecedented times. Through my presentation, I will present reality checks and bites which will provide my fellow industry colleagues with conversational inputs that will benefit the industry. I have divided my presentation into three parts. Number one, the state of economy in India, direct selling and its adaptation during COVID-19 pandemic, trends influencing direct selling industry during the COVID-19 pandemic. Taking you on to the next slide, pandemic has actually decentralized direct selling business operations. Indian economy is going through an unprecedented crisis. During these uncertain times, direct selling industry has provided a lifeline to families impacted by the pandemic and has provided self-employment opportunities to millions those who have lost their jobs. Taking you on to the next slide, on account of COVID-19, the Indian economy has seen degrowth as it grew at 1.6% during the fourth quarter and has witnessed a contraction of 7.3% during the financial year 2020-21. Further, COVID-19 pandemic has resulted in an adverse impact on the various facets of the Indian economy, such as loss of jobs, shrinking of disposable income, shrinking of discretionary income, and negative impact on consumer sentiments. Taking you on to the next slide, I would like to talk about the Indian economy, a fragile recovery from COVID 2.0. The second wave of COVID-19 has impacted the Indian economy in a significant way. The economy at the end of the financial year 20 has been at 1.45 trillion, which is GDP at constant prices, and the economy contracted by 8% due to the impact of the first wave. In the light of the effects of the second wave, it has been forecasted to grow at the rate of 8 to 10%. Taking you on to the next slide, I would like to talk about India witnessing the fifth recession on account of COVID-19 pandemic. As we all know, India is witnessing the fifth and the most severe recession after independence on account of COVID-19 pandemic. In this slide, you can see the recessions which have harmed the Indian economy. Since independence, India has witnessed 5 recessions, and the one we are facing now in the year 2021 is the most severe and slowing down the Indian economy. Let's go on to the next slide, and let's talk about the pandemic has had a ripple effect on unemployment. Due to the pandemic, there has been a ripple effect on the Indian economy. There has been salary cuts and job displacements in both informal and informal sectors. Taking you on to the next slide, how exactly the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted on livelihood. In the coming 2 slides, I'll be sharing data about the adverse impacts of COVID-19, a pandemic on livelihood. It was women and youth who were more vulnerable to job losses. Around 47% of the women suffered a permanent job loss during the lockdown and did not return to work. And for youth who did not return to work were in the age group of 15 to 24, the figures were 33%. Taking you on to the next slide, this is what we discussed, that 33% of the people did not recover, and there were 47% of the women, they actually suffered a permanent job loss. In the next slide, I would like to talk about proactive response from direct selling in supporting the MSME sector. During the second wave, the headlines of the business pages of the national dailies were COVID-19 pandemic second wave hits India's 63.4 million MSMEs. However, during these uncertain times, Indian direct selling industry reposed more faith in the MSME sector capacity by providing orders for raw materials and used for manufacturing direct selling products. Even before the upsurge of the pandemic, direct selling industry in India was conscious, and it started cutting down on import of raw materials from abroad and encouraged the Indian MSME sector to fill the void and become a robust supply chain for the industry. MSMEs have a vital role to play in making India a global manufacturing hub for direct selling products. However, on account of COVID-19 pandemic, MSMEs have been impacted due to low demand, high cost of inputs, loan repayment blues, enforced shutdowns thanks to a second labor exodus. Taking you on to the next slide, direct selling and its adaptation during COVID-19 pandemic. And this I would like to talk about now. Here, I would like to deliberate on the second part of my presentation, in which I will talk about direct selling and its adaptation during the COVID-19 pandemic. I will iterate on below themes, which are the pathway for our industry's grit and determination during these uncertain times. I'll talk about the core of direct selling business model. Physical distancing impacts the core of direct selling business model. Transition towards digital movement. Transformation of the direct selling industry. Direct selling, which is an all-weather self-employment opportunity. Taking you further ahead onto the next slide, into the pre-COVID era, the core of direct selling business, traditionally, that is, in pre-COVID era, the best way to build direct selling business was through personal meetings and group presentations and discussions. Prior to the outbreak of pandemic, business was conducted through the below modes: personal relationships, one-to-one selling, sizable gatherings. But direct selling provides consumers with a personal touch, which is a trust building for products before purchasing the products. However, with an infusion of technology, direct selling has entered a new era. In below slides, I'll provide the outline which will give a preview of the changes. Taking you on to the next slide, the physical distancing impacts the core of direct selling business model. Direct selling industry has proved that it is very resilient and highly adaptable to the changes which are impacting the global ecosystem. It encourages homemakers and micro entrepreneurs. Direct selling identities and direct sellers are reaping the benefits of technology and have switched to virtual platform and digital tools to keep in touch with their teams, which enables them to organize presentations and training programs. Now, in the next slide, I would like to talk about the transition towards the digital movement. Direct selling is evolving and it is transitioning, and it has entered a dynamic phase, that is the digital movement, that is physical and digital, which I believe is a new way for direct selling business progression. Digital is a concept of using technology to bridge the digital world with the physical world with the purpose of providing an interacting experience for the user. Digital movement has been facilitated by investment in digital asset and technology, use of digital touchpoints, that is social media, to promote the products, creating awareness on the usage of products via the online trainings and the webinars, and the paradigm shift from offline to online. Taking you on to the next slide, where I would be talking about the paradigm shift. The original social media reshapes and redefines its operations. All of us know that there has been a paradigm shift in direct selling business efficiency model. Direct selling has been referred to as an original social media. But on account of COVID-19 pandemic, direct selling business has gone through a transformation. Effective combination of online world with personalized selling, trailblazing impact of the social media tools. Social media tools have redefined the customer engagements. It is increasing the number of live customer engagements. There is more focus towards the individual customers. In the past, direct sellers visited only a number of customers a day. Now she or he can reach out to hundreds of people in the network using online social media tools. In the next slide, I would like to talk about transformation of the direct selling industry. Here, I would like to touch upon the facets which are transforming and shaping the face of direct selling industry. The sharp focus on social commerce, digital catalogs and promotions, bolstering supply chain and home delivery for online orders, upscaling of direct sellers in their digital transformation. In India, there are approximately 687.6 million internet users and 400 million social media users. Social media increases visibility and combines the original direct selling personal touch. In the next slide, I would be talking about all-weather self-employment opportunity which direct selling industry offers. Direct selling has defied recessions, and during the periods of economic hardship has absorbed people in its fold who have lost their livelihoods, but providing them with self-employment opportunities. It has been described as an all-weather self-employment opportunity because it provides people supplemental income opportunities during the economic recession. Social commerce has emerged as a new trend as it provides direct sellers with lead generation techniques to directly interact with their prospects on social media platforms. Taking you further ahead on the next slide, on the next part of the presentation, I will be talking about trends influencing the direct selling industry during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, I would like to come on to the third part of our presentation, that is trends influencing the direct selling industry during the COVID-19 pandemic. Direct selling and its technology interventions at grassroots levels, innovative enhancement in direct selling orientation programs, growth drivers for the direct selling industry, impact of the pandemic on consumer taste and preferences, along with direct selling industry trends for the 2022. Last but not the least, direct selling industry, the action plan. Taking you on to the next slide, direct selling industry promotes livelihood in the form of economic inclusion at the grassroots levels through technology interventions. Direct selling industry has moved from high touch to high tech via the investment in digital technology. Direct selling business conducted through screen without physical interaction. Direct selling has a human-centric business model. Zero capital investment involved can be considered as a secondary source of income at a time when there are layoffs and increasing unemployment. Implementation of a 360-degree online ecosystem can bring about absolute transparency in the company affairs, leaving little scope for complaints or errors. Taking you on to the next slide, in recent times, direct selling industry has seen the infusion of technology on a large scale. Now we have smart direct sellers who have all the information at their fingertips. Direct selling industry has prioritized investments in training and development tools. Orientation programs have also become innovative as they provide a direct seller with awareness about online tools, the help they provide in achieving better results, upgradation of the logistics supply chain, and to develop deeper insights into customer needs and wants in the emerging new normal. In the next slide, we will be talking about the growth drivers for the direct selling industry. Direct selling industry has been a great enabler. It has provided entrepreneurial career opportunities to one and all during these turbulent times. Direct selling industry has always had one constant growth driver, that is innovations and focus on product quality. Now with the upsurge of the pandemic in the country, we as an industry are adapting to evolving expectations of the health conscious millennials. As an industry, we read the pulse of the customers and come up with product offering which matches with their perceptions and current needs. In fact, we are serving the new generation of smart consumers who are highly informed. Take the case of personal care and cosmetic products, in which we receive endless queries from women about the place where the sourcing of the raw material is done. Does our cosmetic products contain animal ingredients? Are the products offered by us are organic or not? And what is the percentage of chemicals used in it? Today, I have with me Mr. Deepak Chhabra, Co-Chairman, Direct Selling Council, ASSOCHAM, and Managing Director of Tupperware and other industry stalwarts from Ecuador, Colombia, and of course, India. I am eagerly waiting to listen to their novel views about current scenario and future direction of the industry at large. Taking you on to the next slide, here I would be talking about the impact of pandemic on consumer tastes and preferences. Right? There has been a consumer 360-degree shift. Consumers across age groups are seeking optimum nutrition and strong immunity along with regular exercise. In recent times, there has been a surge in the prices of the medical cost for consumers due to COVID-19 pandemic. And taking you on to the next slide, now I would like to envision for the future for direct selling industry in the year 2022. Social selling will emerge as the backbone of the direct selling as digital native generation Z are getting into the workplace. Social media platforms will be the way forward for product promotion, communication, and it will enable posting of creative videos and virtual posts. Here I would like to say, whether it is Instagram, whether it is Facebook, or all of these social media platforms, there have been influencers, those who have been promoting these products. What I foresee over here, in the coming years, the way the things are going digital, it is our direct sellers, those who are actually true influencers and the true bloggers, they'll be the ones, those who will be creating their post, and it'll be their business which will be taking off, and they'll be doing business on the social media platforms. Even if the COVID-19 gets over, I foresee virtual trainings to stay even in the post-COVID world, and more direct selling companies operating in India, which will focus on Make in India products. Taking you on to the next slide. Now, I would like to inform all of you about direct selling industry plan of action, which will be led by mass investments in technology and will be the growth driver for the industry. Technology and its enablers brings in ultimate convenience in the business for distributors. It creates awareness on the usage of products via online trainings and webinars. Updating application used for direct selling in a timely manner, and making use of digital touch points such as social media. Now, finally, I would like to take you on to the last slide of my presentation today. Right? Let's turn the new page with an affirmation. During pandemic, direct selling industry has proved that it can survive the turbulent economic cycles through innovation, common sense, and presence of mind. Thank you so much, and over to you, Chavi. Mr. Rajora.
Thank you, Chairman Mr. Gautam Wali, for giving a detailed presentation covering different aspects of direct selling industry during COVID pandemic. It is a very interesting and informative presentation, and I hope our participants will definitely benefit out of such important information. To carry out our discussion further, may I now request Mr. Deepak Chhabra, Co-Chairman of the Council, to kindly give his presentation.
Thanks, Mr. Rajora, and good evening, everyone, all the panelists and the participants. I have a pleasure to be here today. I was excited to interact and share the things which direct selling is doing. So I'll just take a minute. I have a small presentation for all of you, and I'll just like to take you through that. So as the discussion topic for today is how the direct selling is evolving, and especially during this COVID time, which has hit the larger business very, very badly. So I won't spend much time on how large or how relevant direct selling is, but maybe about a minute. So India is a nation of interpersonal connection and relationships. That is what is treasured the most here. It thrives on its culture and the innate quality of people from different backgrounds to connect easily. Traditionally, we have been a nation of interpersonal connections and relationships, and therefore, direct selling is a concept, formally and informally both, has actually worked well across the geography. In addition to that, the one-on-one demonstrations and the personalized sales and the selling techniques and after-sales service, the trust and the assurance of buying from a known person leads immense credibility to the process. So this industry has been relevant in the past. In fact, it has become a bit more relevant during this tough time when people have lost their jobs, and the secondary income has become much more important, as Mr. Bali presented. So industry actually has more potential than what it is today. A little bit on how it has been growing and what is expected of it. So the growth of the industry is expected to be moving from about 12,600 crores to about 16,000 crores by the end of this year. And number of direct sellers is moving very, very fast. So it was about 6 million in financial year 18-19, and it is expected to move to about 18 million in next 5-6 years. And women folk actually form a larger part of direct sellers. And this is pretty obvious and logical because of the disparity in opportunities, especially in our country, to women folk, and also the flexibility which is required by women because they don two hats. So they need flexibility to take care of their family as well as augment the earning opportunities for the family. So that is where at Tupperware we have the opportunity which is actually exclusive to women. It makes commercial sense too, because women are the one who normally consume our products, and they can connect better with our products and probably connect with the buyers better. Moving on, how the direct selling actually has been evolving, especially keeping in mind the COVID pandemic, which hit us for about 1.5 years now. So there's a typical discussion about shared spaces versus personal spaces. Actually, that is changing quite a lot over the last 3-4 years, especially keeping in mind the nuclear families we have got into, rapid urbanization all around, and the changing consumer preferences. So there have been a challenge, especially in the urban markets, where the direct selling was, losing a bit of sheen, and the ground was moving towards tier 2 and tier 3 cities, where the social fabric still remains what it was some time back, even in the larger cities. So we really have to keep in mind that we change the way we operate or the way we sell or way we grow our sales force, keeping in mind the consumer, because ultimately consumer will impact the earning potential or the opportunity to your sales force. And then e-commerce has been a disruptor in a very, very large sense. It actually brought everything back home. So people don't have to move out of their home. They can get whatever they need at the click of a button and get delivered anywhere between 24 hours to 72 hours and wherever in the country. And that also started delivering to about 90% of the PIN codes across the country. So this is how the market was evolving, and that is where the way we operate had to change. So there was always a intent to change, but what COVID did, that COVID made that intent to compulsion to change. And that is what got reflected for all the direct selling companies who could actually become stronger during COVID. So what has come across is direct selling indeed is resilient in the face of COVID. It has actually become a bit more relevant despite the challenges in physical interactions or group parties or larger gatherings. So COVID-19 actually restricted physical mobility, initially breaking the backbone of the direct selling companies because the concept itself is one-on-one interaction and physical interaction. But something had to change. And that change is what made it not only survive, but thrive during these difficult times when the larger economy was degrowing rather than the erstwhile 7-8% growth it was experiencing. So the larger change, which I'm aware Mr. Mathur will be covering on how people have changed, how the companies have changed from physical social to digital social. It still remains social. It still remains personalized. It still remains one-on-one, but rather than just physical, it has gone into digital social. And that is where the adoption of social and the digital tools, which could be many. WhatsApp is the biggest of them, followed by Facebook, and then communication tools like Zoom and Hangouts. They have really helped to keep every business aspect, whether it's training or outreach to the consumers by the direct selling sales force, is not only maintained, but it could be expanded. Because physical, when we talk, it is restricted. Restricted in the sense you can probably move to 15, 20, 25 kilometers of your place where you are based. But when you move to digital social, there is no limit. You can actually, sitting in Delhi, I can sell in Calicut. Yeah, so that's the power, and that is how direct selling companies actually grew and not just survived during the pandemic. Now I'll take about 5 minutes on sharing very personal experiences from the brand perspective. This actually reflects on what we did and how it worked. These remain relevant for all direct selling companies. So largely, as I said, we have a sales force of about 70,000, all women spread across the country. But does it cover all parts of the country? Certainly not. We probably need about 500,000 sales force to cover each and every district, about 800 districts across the country. So 70,000 women were selling one-on-one with limited reach. And that also got impacted largely in the month of March 2020 when COVID hit. So what we did, we actually moved to social selling. And social selling did two things. One, rather, I would say 3 things. One, it was a business continuity for them, especially during the time when probably their spouses, which I can very safely call their husbands, because we are a business which is an opportunity for women only. So their husbands, many of them lost jobs. Many of them got medically ill and couldn't work. So there was an importance of business continuity for our sales force. Secondly, the reach got expanded from just 10, 15, 20 kilometers from where they operate. And the third and the biggest thing was your fulfillment. Normally, direct selling suffers from a long supply chain process. So your sales force goes to the consumer, shows some samples and the brochures, take the order, places the order with the distributor, who in turn places with the company, and the same reverse flow happens. So this normally takes, even in the most efficient organization, about 7 to 15 days. And the consumer, in today's changing environment, when you get pizza in 30 minutes and you get, if you are Prime enabled, customer on Amazon, you get anything and everything in 24 hours. It's a long supply chain. So that was the biggest benefit of social selling. Now the consumer can actually get the products within 24 to 72 hours, just like any other e-commerce. I would love to elaborate a bit on social selling. So how does it work is, each of our sales force is given a unique URL. So they just have to use the product features and the benefits and the demonstration and the catalog and the pricing using digital tools. And this URL is embedded in all those content. And when a customer who is receiving those content from the direct seller, if they click, they land on my web store, the company's web store, and they shop as if they're shopping online. And they can buy anything, pay, check out, and we deliver to the consumer. But the sales force or the direct seller whose link was there gets captured, and she gets a commission without moving out of home. She's at home. She doesn't have to move because it was restricted, and she can reach out to more consumers and make much more money than what she was making pre-COVID. So that was a game changer. And of course, there were tools to do it. So we encourage them to have WhatsApp Business. We gave them a tool called Top Social, which can bring a scheduling to their social media handles, and they can schedule a lot of content using Top Social and can track their customer, how they are behaving. So largely, it was moving from physical to almost completely digital and expanding the reach. And for the consumer, it was a faster delivery and a wider choice. So that's largely we did, and that is what actually made a lot of difference to the business. And I am aware most of our other direct selling companies have moved to digital in one form or the other. And this probably is the last one, and we are really proud as a direct selling industry, and specifically Tupperware, where about 60% of the total direct sellers are women. With us, it's all women, 100%. From last 25 years, we have actually empowered more than 1.5 million women, out of which 70,000 are currently associated with us. We upskilled them, and as Mr. Bali was mentioning, we actually manufacture 97% of our products, which we sell in the country, within the country. And not only that, we do export to about 30 countries from our manufacturing, which happens in the country. So largely, this is what I wanted to share. Just to briefly conclude, direct selling has shown that it is resilient, but there were changes which we had to go through as an industry for quite some time, at least for a couple of years. But that kind of impetus was not given of making it physical plus digital business model. COVID-19 has been a blessing in disguise, I would say, wherein we realized now the physical is not possible. What do we do, at least for some time? So you have to get into digital. So now when you have digital, physical we always knew. Our sales force, our direct sellers know how to handle that. Even when the COVID goes, it will remain a combination of physical and digital. And that is the key, and that is how the industry actually not only thrived, not only survived, it actually thrived. Thank you for your time, and pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Mr. Thava, for highlighting many important aspects of direct selling industry and its significance in the urbanization and changing consumer preferences, which the industry has done in the pandemic, and with many technological disruptions and other way, it is going to serve the consumers in a better way, and it will certainly align the consumer preferences in the time to come. To move on, I request Madam Chavi Hemant to please moderate the session further, and please say a few words what UC has got on the subject. From Chavi Hemant.
Thank you, Mr. Ajora. I welcome everyone. It's nice to. It was an excellent, eye opener from both. Specifically, talking, Gautam's presentation covering 3 large aspects was very interesting. Knowing that how badly we as economy has been affected with the charts from RBI and things over there were very interesting. And Deepak, from your side, really sharing your, sharing how you are helping women on specific URLs was very, very interesting. And I'm sure that, industry leaders here and others will also learn from your inputs, which you shared, business inputs, which you shared, which is, is first time I'm hearing, which is being here on a public forum. So thank you to both of you for, sharing all these inputs to us. And now I'll move on to the session. And my question is to Mr. David Stanley. Mr. David Stanley, yeah, you have been a veteran and you have started the direct selling industry, the company in 5 years back. And I just wanted to pick your brains on the MSME because still MSME is struggling. So how is it that we as an industry can support them even now? So if you could help us, give your inputs on that, because I know that you've been involved with MSME to a large extent, even now over the last 5 years and prior when you were the managing director for AMC. So over to you, Mr. Stanley. Mr. Stanley, you're not audible.
I'm not audible.
Yeah, now you are.
Okay. Thank you very much, Chavi Madam, for this question. Very interesting question. But before I start, let me, place on record the nice detailed presentation by the chairman, Mr. Gautam Bali, and the co-chairman, Mr. Deepak Chabra. So I think they set the stage for our meeting. It's very nice. They spoke very detailedly about the changing dynamics of direct selling during the COVID-19 pandemic. So you asked me a specific question about MSME. Well, in the earlier days, as you know that I've been in direct selling for a long time. Earlier, I used to work with a multinational. Now we have formed an Indian company, Indian direct selling company. So we are categorized from the industry perspective as a MSME services company. And we earlier on used to source all our products 100% from abroad. But now, thanks to the Atmanirbhar and, all those changes which we have started sourcing our products from Indian MSMEs, So here is the situation. We are a service company, MSME company, sourcing from manufacturing MSME companies from India. There are a lot of advantages. Initially, we were wondering whether the product quality will be good. But then, we worked along with the Indian vendors, the smaller MSME vendors, and we made sure that the quality standards expected by a good direct selling company is delivered by these MSME companies. Now, one big advantage which we found during this pandemic times is even now we are importing some of the products. So the products which we were importing, we had supply problems because of raw material availability and also the shipping costs, etc. But the products which we happen to source from MSMEs in India, we never had a problem. So also the MSMEs through whom we were sourcing the products, they said that the direct selling companies continued to buy during this pandemic, whereas the retail selling companies had slowed down. So the relationship between direct selling MSME company like us and MSME manufacturing company is of a win-win situation. So both of us were beneficial. I think what we began doing, we tried with some products. Now we'll continue to do more and more sourcing from India. So that we are completely reliant on the Indian MSME industry. That is what I would like to share. Other than this, as far as how our company is doing, our company, as you know, is a direct selling company selling cookware mainly. We sell cookware, healthcare, home care, and kitchenware. And so just like what we heard about these two dignitaries speak, we also were reinventing ourselves. Now, if you look at earlier on, we were purely personal company, personal direct selling company. Everything was done personally, meeting consumers, recruiting consumers, everything was done personally, delivering to consumers, everything. But then now we have become a hybrid. I would not say that we are like, a direct selling, part direct selling, part e-commerce type company, So we have made our investments in digitalizing the whole business. But initially, even though the leaders saw the importance of this, the whole we also have a big women's sales force. We have a sales force of 22,000 people in India, and many of them, 95% of women, So they are simple people. So initially they had some qualms in switching over to the initially to digitalize themselves, to start working with apps and doing digital payments, not going to the. Suddenly a big change was there, expected by us from the leaders, from all these people. But then there was a hesitancy, during the first pandemic, they changed off, but now they are almost there. So now they understand the convenience of doing business through the digital way. Now, nobody has to go and deliver a product directly to a Helix customer. Everything goes just like an e-commerce company, like Mr. Deepak Chabra said, within 24 to 72 hours, it goes to the consumer. All you need to do is to place an order in the app, and everything works beautifully. Payments collected through the app. And so in every problem, they say there's an opportunity. So we saw it as an opportunity. Of course, the sale is not back to the good old days, but we are doing an hybrid, and we are climbing back fast and coming back to where we belong. So thank you very much. You asked me a question about MSME. I also covered the current topic which you were talking about. Thank you very much, ma'am.
That was a delight. That was a delight. So, Mr. Stanley, in the last, you mentioned about how the women adjusted to it. So, would you share any particular training which was shared by your company, so that the women could learn faster, and now they are gradually getting on to this in a faster manner? Because that is something which we all face, that teaching women that they have to adapt to apps and things like that. So any particular training was adopted, or a particular thing was said or trained? That was one thing, if you could add.
Yes, ma'am. To start with, when we started doing Zoom and all that during the last pandemic, very few, initially only the main leaders attended, and that too through a lot of persuasion. But over a period of time, now we have from our sales force, we have a problem that all our Zoom meetings get the limited numbers which Zoom allows. They're all already full. So now we use, apart from Zoom, all other things for our training. So one important thing we made, I can share this, that earlier on we do healthy cooking shows where we go to a consumer and show how our product helps them to cook and eat healthy. That's what we do. Earlier it was only physical demonstration, but now we ask them to put lots of recipes in our YouTube channel. So the response was fantastic. We have more than 700 recipes in a very short time. 700. So earlier on they used to show only two dishes cooked, but now after showing the 2 dishes cooked, we tell the customer, you can look at 700 healthy recipes which we have. So that's how we used social media, as well as, of course, the efforts of the physical efforts put by the consultant. One more thing is also the earlier, like I think it was also well covered by Mr. Deepak Chabra. Now the selling is not limited to 10-kilometer radius or 15-kilometer radius. Thanks to social usage of WhatsApp, YouTube, and so many other things. Online demos, as we call it. All this put together. Now we can sell. Helix Consultant sells anywhere in India. from north to south and west to east. So all these changes could happen also because of the excellent training and the support of our main leaders who adopted things first, followed by the others.
Oh, okay. In fact, just to add to the discussion, I feel the 700 recipes have also come because, everybody was in lockdown and, women had to cook more and more and more. Of course, there was some support from many spouses as well, but the 700 recipes has come because of that, because I'm sure all of us were asking for more food, especially for women, from women, because we are the one who make more food at home. Of course, the chefs are still, most of them are men outside, but I'm sure that is also going to change soon. So now moving on, I will request Patricia she would like to share her presentation, and it looks like a very interesting show because we had a glimpse of her presentation when we were doing testing. So I would request Patricia, former executive director of the Direct Selling Association in Colombia, to share her presentation with all of us and her views.
Wait. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Namaste, India. Thank you for the invitation. How do you say? I'm from the Direct Selling Association in Colombia. Good afternoon, Mr. Rahora, Mr. Gautam Bali, Mr. Deepak Chopra, Miss Chavi Harman, my good friend. Good afternoon to all my partner speakers, and good afternoon to the audience. First of all, I want to express my gratitude to ASSOCHAM for inviting me to this important webinar, and congratulations for the centenary +1 anniversary of ASSOCHAM. So I want to begin with an introduction about my country, Colombia. The Republic of Colombia is a country in South America. It's composed of 32 departments, and the capital district of Bogota, the country's largest city with 10 million population. Colombia has a population of 50 million. Spanish is the nation's official language. Colombia is one of the world's 70 mega diverse countries and has the second highest level of biodiversity in the world. And it is the only country in South America with coastlines and islands along both Atlantic and Pacific Ocean. Colombia's GDP is $343,177 billion. In 2019, GDP grew 3.3%. In 22, GDP decreased 6.8%. The growth in the economy is projected for 2021 in 6.6%. And this red number is according to the official government figures. Is direct selling decreased in 2020 0.6%. Okay, now let me show you what is the COVID situation in Colombia. Until June 23rd, daily new confirmed cases per million people were 553. Cumulative confirmed COVID cases were 4 million. Cumulative confirmed COVID deaths were 100,947. And in Colombia until June 22nd, excuse me, 15,680,000 doses have been administered. That means almost the 32% of population has been vaccinated. And now I want to share the means changes about the direct selling have facing with the pandemic. But I think that the others panelists make a nice introduction because in all countries we have a similar situation. And because I put protection at the beginning of the pandemic, the industry was shut down for almost 1 month, and the lockdown affected our life, of course, but we have to think quickly so as not to lose the feel that only the products that were essential and could be delivered to the home were gaining. Companies quickly adopted biosafety system and published it so that consumers feel protected when receiving the products. It was also very important that the direct seller feel protected by the companies, not only from the point of view of their health, but also that they continue to be a vital part of our business. Guarantee. In the same way, the quality of the products and the punctual delivery of them is and was very important. And the company invested in the logistics of delivery of the product, shortening delivery times to almost 24 hours. The relationship with the consumer became closer and being able to count of the key information. And the company invested in friendly digitation to interact with their customer and thus provide safety and satisfaction to consumers and direct sellers. In Colombia, we have 2 million of direct sellers, and the market is almost the $2 billion per year. The direct sellers, of course, are the protagonists of the execution. They are in the last mile with the consumer in front. Their interaction must be precise, clear. It is showing how to fulfill the promise, and the language must be ethical. For this reason, the training of the companies was a constant accompaniment, and the technology helps to improve that interaction in quality. The industry invested not only within their company in technology, not only indoor, but also supported the direct seller in connection, in equipment, and training. Humor. There is nothing more serious than making people laugh. With so much social stress due to the confinement, the company will talk fall and of humor and fun become a central axis of their training. In a Young Heart survey conducted in Colombia, consumers feel more identified with companies that send a message of protection and care to the people in the face of the adversity, of course, of the pandemic. Communication and message were focused on this direction. Today, virtuality brings us closer, and we see the family environment in our webinars. So all family members play an important role in the home. Now it's not only the women. This is an opportunity for the industry, of course, because it was able to provide realistic responses to the needs and concerns of direct sellers, the real entrepreneurs, becoming the direct selling in a facilitator for successful business venture to a new scenario imposed on us by the pandemic. We hear many words like reinvent, readjust, resilience, and doubly important words. But all this without innovation is not possible. It was necessary to innovate in communication system, not only indoor, now directly towards consumers. It was necessary to innovate in the catalogs. It was necessary to innovate in many products. It was necessary to innovate in the way to deliver the products, in how to receive and respond the claims, to show in a fast and friendly way the direct selling benefits as well. We keep looking for solutions and answers, but as this is a people business and for the people, it has information that it can process before other industries. The balance between health and economy must converge to learn to live in this evolutionary change. And the industry has shown how it adapts to change without losing the very essence of the business, is our people. And that is why, for example, in Colombia, many companies from other channels want to adopt now the direct selling scheme. Thank you. This is my presentation. I hope to take only the 7 and 8 minutes, and thank you for everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Patricia. That was an eye-opener that, to learn about humor is something which all of us will also adopt. In fact, I knew a few companies which are actually focusing on getting the employees into the humor mode and trying a lot of stand-up comedian competitions which are happening within the direct selling companies, which I have seen it also in few FMCG companies. So that is something which was very interesting. And I would just want to ask you any one specific thing which in your direct selling industry in Colombia did, which helped for all the direct selling companies to come back on their feet. As you mentioned in the beginning of your presentation that there was for 1 month a complete lockdown.
Yes, now the people can go to the fields, of course, but now we have a new scenario. And this new scenario is a tool for any industry, of course. And we now have a difficult situation with COVID. The vaccination is our hope. And I think we have to move to a parallel scenario. In the field is of course important. The people need to touch, to see face to face, but we have no new step in the technology, and you can use this tool for help to the industry.
Good. I'm delighted to hear that you mentioned that, people want to personally feel and touch and meet, and we will get back to normal as well, normal conditions pre-COVID era as well, and also latch on to the lessons which we have learned from COVID and continue to do our business more. Over to you, Mr. Rabiq. Mr. Rabiq is the marketing director for DXN Marketing India Private Limited. And very, very thankful to you to have joined us today. So I had a question for you, and which was on, how did the customer preferences change? Of course, Gautam touched about it a little bit in between, but I would like from your perspective that how do you share your thoughts as to, how Indian consumer has moved, and what are the changes which you see over the last so many years, and particularly over the last 1 year, what has changed? So over to you, Mr. Rabiq.
Hi, Mr. Ravi, I'm audible?
Yeah, you are audible, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Indeed, a great session by all the panelists over here. I'll go in line with Mr. Gautam Bali. Yes, the wellness and nutrition are the two dominating products for the direct selling industry from the beginning. And I believe it has not changed much in the industry. Rather, the demand has increased in the recent times, and the consumer are looking for more perfection and health-based value-added products in each and every day-to-day product need. It is not only confined. Earlier, it was only confined with the capsules or with the. It is only confined in the medicinal rack. But now all these products are dominating the dining tables and the kitchen. So now the people are shifting and people are looking over this type of product where each and everything they want to consume. They are making sure it's health oriented, and it is somewhere it's a value added which can have their and improve their immune. The reason for the above demand is very simple, because the pandemic has opened this way. The pandemic has given a very clear message. The only solution to safeguard the health is not fighting with the virus, because you cannot fight with the virus. Today the virus A, tomorrow virus B, and it can transform in many ways. So how long you will be fighting with the virus, and you don't know when the virus and what virus is going to come. So the only solution is to uplift your immune system and to boost your immune system. So this is the message what this pandemic has given to us. So the pandemic has forced everybody to think, to have a good lifestyle and to have a proper nutrition, and the equation of your dining table and the kitchen is now, I think, slowly changing. And this is the product, the shift has been happened due to this pandemic. Okay, I think the direct selling industry also, I think, working towards this line. And when we are talking about the factors, how to decide on the product, okay. So what I can tell is the factor of the direct selling company should consider while planning for the new product line must ensure two things. Number one is the magnitude, the volume of the product, and number is the scale, the profitability to the distributor. Okay, so means the product should be easily attract the consumer, and number one is it should be affordable so that the magnitude can be ensured. Otherwise, you will not have a volume, and if not volume, even the product is good, it will not attract more people and it will not reach to the people. And some uniqueness and the USP will help to mark the scale of the product profitability. So when you have a good product and some USP, so that the profitability of the profit can be marked up nicely for the distributors. Thus, with the magnitude in volume and the higher scale in the payout, I think will be the very good success model of product for the direct selling future. Not only for now, I think for the next few decades, it is going to rule. Mr. Ravi, your voice, you are not your mic.
Yes, I did that. I completely agree with you, Rafiq, on this. And, even there is a change. Absolutely, you pointed out absolutely on the dot that, yes, our dining tables and our kitchen table slabs have changed to nutritional supplements, tablets from, direct selling companies. Definitely, that is a change. And the other change which, all direct selling and, can benefit is that now what we are seeing a changes between 21s and 25. So we see a lot of focus of this category of younger generation focusing on health and depending on products which are for nutrition, because they have accepted that whatever food we intake is not even if it is the healthiest possible diet, it is not going to compensate the nutritional requirement which they have for a body. So that is something which will be essential for all direct selling companies to continue their focus on the nutritional products. Now, moving on to request, to speak to Vipul Mathur, business head, Udan.com. I did have a brief chat with Vipul, earlier before starting the session, and he looks very enthusiastic about the entire thing. And Vipul, over to you. You would wanted to share some specific things as what we discussed before starting the session. So I would request you to share your thoughts as to what you think about the current topic, changing dynamics of direct selling industry during this COVID pandemic.
Thanks, Chavi, and thanks, ASSOCHAM, for giving me this opportunity and be on the platform of direct selling, because I'll try and cover up a little bit about what Udan is and how Udan started. In fact, Udan started as a company which intended to do direct selling, and then it started to do various other things. And then talk a little bit about what you asked, Chavi, about how at this point of time, Digital India is responding to the pandemic. So Udan started about 5 years back, and people have started to identify that the retailers used to see things on the WhatsApp. WhatsApp was very prevalent at that point of time, and it still is. And then order it through a medium of transport. And that looked like an opportunity that you can create a digital e-commerce company which picks up goods from the supplier and delivers it to the retailer. So it started as an alternative or a support of a direct selling. So three people came together, Amod, Sujit, and Vaibhav, and started this company 5 years back, as I said. Initially, the idea was to put everything on one portal so that people can browse and order. As we went to the market, as Udan went to the market, the observation was that people also need deliveries in their stores. And hence another company was formed, which is called Udan Logistics, or Udan Express. Then Udan Express by itself became a large company. We now have about 200 warehouses, about 1 crore square feet of space. We'll be getting to about 5 crore square feet of space in about couple of months, about an year or so. And then we realized that that's not it. Actually, retailers also want credit. And hence Udan added another company to the portfolio. And it was an NBFC bank which was working on the microfinancing. So now the retailer has access to merchandise, which will get delivered to their doorsteps. And they also had a credit. So credit depend 2 to 5 days, 2 to 45 days, depending upon what category. Udan started with lifestyle and electronics as 2 initial categories and added much more. So food, FMCG, home and kitchen, pharma, electricals, all of that get it over a period of time. So at this point of time, Udan delivers about 1.5 lakh to 2 lakh orders every day. And we supply to about 12,000 pin codes. Udan was also one of the fastest unicorn of the country. The last valuation was touted at about $2.5 billion. So the whole retail industry they started to come in, and they started to get associated with Udan. And today, approximately about 30 lakh retailers are buying from Udan, with about 30,000 suppliers, again, into various categories. We believe that so far in a digital India, we have just touched the fraction of it, because it's such a large market which is fragmented, and there was a need for it to get digitalized and get more efficiency. And then so Udan has been growing because in past 5 years we have come to this scale, it has grown fast, largely because it was serving a need. The need was that retailers were going to, let's say, to the origin where the goods were manufactured. So they will go to Bombay or Delhi or Coimbatore or Calcutta to buy goods. With now the Digital India, And thanks, initial speakers talked so much about, especially Mr. Bali and Deepak talked about that, how the whole India has started to become digital, where there is a physicality to it when the goods move, and there's a digitality to it the way you order. And then the COVID happened. So what we figured out is that we were to solve two problems. One problem is that the liquidity between supply and the end point was eroding. The velocity of money was falling down. The repeat buys were dropping because retail was not consuming as much, because consumer was not consuming as much. So we did a couple of things. We said that we will make it easy for a very large India, and we call it Bharat, a very large India, to buy very, very easily, and hence we reduce the minimum buying quantity to half. And we said we will not charge you for delivery, so that you can, because if there's uncertainty in a retailer's mind, कि मैं खरीदूं कि नहीं खरीदूं, you can sort it out by incentivizing it. We went to the sellers and we told sellers that we have to get the goods to a fantastic price. And we are willing to lower our margins. And we also gave them flexibility of credit period. If you need money today, you can take money today. Or if you can hold for a period of time, then you get benefit of not taking the money today. So we create flexibility. We also went to the suppliers and said, if you want to increase the velocity of sales, one of the good things to do is make your product recognizable, make your brand recognizable. And in a digital formats, it's easier to do vis-a-vis a physical format. And we started that as a journey. So we started to create brandification or brandization of their products with our capability and skill set. So we helped them. And last year, about 1350 suppliers were doing business which is more than 1 crore on Udaan, and hence their scale started to become larger with us. We also set up an engine to help them understand what they should buy, because if they end up buying something which is not required, it will sit in their store and block their money, which is anyway scarce. So in order to increase the velocity of money, we said, okay, we will help basis what you have been buying from us so far. We have the history of it. We'll use algorithms and we'll create recommendations for you what to buy. And then you can choose whether you want to buy that or buy anything else. We also started to create, differentiation in the buyers. So the people who've been buying consistently from us, we also told them, in case it doesn't sell, we'll take a certain proportion of unsold good back from you, so that the risk which was sitting with the retailer starts to come down. So I'm saying a couple of things for velocity. Reduce the cost of delivery, shorten the shipment so that they can buy more frequently, help them in what they should buy, do the brandization, supplier gets enabled, create the credit system which is flexible, and at the same time do spatial activities with people that if it doesn't sell, we can take back. This is what we did. Now, as we were also as a responsible company, we did a couple of other things. We said that all COVID essential items, masks, gloves, shields, or anything else, we will kind of supply at very, very low cost. And that was the first supply which we started. We also offered our retailers that we can help you get vaccinated, and we encourage. So we ran a program for them that if you get vaccinated, you will be out of danger. The people who will walk into the store will be out of the danger. So this has largely been the journey so far. Anything specifically, Chavi, which you want to, which you want me to elaborate on?
Definitely, definitely. It was very interesting to listen, how all this happened over the last 5 years. My immediate question to you is, how can we use artificial intelligence to understand consumer preference and benefit the direct seller and the company, largely the industry as well? Like how this technology can be used, and then, goes to a larger context of increasing the total turnover of direct selling industry.
Okay, so in the start, we talked about social and also talked about visual as a mechanism to create business. The interesting part about any of these formats is that as consumer browses through a particular app, you can register where he is spending more time or less time.
Okay.
And you can also register if he's choosing to put in the cart, buy or not buy. If buy, then what is he buying along with? Is he buying it with discount or without discount? Which month does he buy? At what frequency does he buy? Does he have one store or multiple stores? Does it correspond to what the next store is buying from him? So once you have all of this data, it provides you opportunity to run algorithms to make a recommendation, which is what we call as artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence is a mechanism that we look at the surrounding data. So let's say if there was a retailer who was to buy in Delhi, we say what's happening in north of India, what's happening in Delhi, what's happening in Lajpat Nagar, what's happening with him, what is the behavior he's showing on the app, and basis that create a recommendation to him. That could be one way of doing it, which is the front-ended part. On the back-ended part, what we do with our key suppliers is that we help them tell that so many people see your product but they don't buy. So many people see your product but they buy instantly. If you put this kind of a product, it buys fast, it sells faster. If you put this kind of a product, it sells slower. Across the nation, this is the mix. With this kind of a demographic, this is the mix. What we also do is we permit supplier and seller to speak to each other. We started as a direct selling company. And as a direct selling company, we said that we'll let people interact. We will just enable the transaction through either credit or through the logistics transaction. So as people interact, they also develop sense around. So let's say if there is a supplier in Coimbatore who never sold to Delhi, now he can sell to Delhi and figure out what's happening in Delhi. And then Delhi starts to become so every supplier has a national reach. Every buyer has a national availability. And that's how, data helps in creating artificial intelligence.
Okay. So I think artificial intelligence will play a big role in getting the entire products being sold now in the future, in the now time, because we have already arrived at this place and there is no time to wait for this to be actually get implemented and see how consumers respond to it. So thank you so much, Vipul, for your details, and we all will definitely continue through ASSOCHAM's platform to speak to you more often. So now my next question is to Ms. Maria Ferranda. She's the Executive Director for the Direct Selling Association in Ecuador. We also had her in India in 2017, and now to hear her again is a privilege for all of us. So Maria, my question to you is that how did Ecuador direct selling industry responded to COVID-19? You've heard all about India. So share us how Ecuador responded to the challenges faced by COVID-19 in your country.
Okay, thanks, Chavi, and special thanks to ASSOCHAM for having invited me to this important event for the business environment in India and in general for the world. It's an honor to be here with all of you. It's the magic of technology that connects us now, despite being 16,000 kilometers away between Ecuador, which is in South America, and New Delhi. We are sharing a space for dialogue and union between you and us, who represent the business and industry sector in our countries. Congratulations for dedicating this stage to talking about the direct selling as a channel that seeks its reinvention, its redefinition, and its reimagination. 2020 was an extremely complex year, something that the world has never experienced before, a reality that we keep living today, but a little more adapted and taking care of an invisible enemy that hit us and continues hitting us in many ways. Direct selling is one of the channels that have been generating a lot of opportunities during this crisis, and it will keep doing it. New consumers have become accustomed to receive our products at home because we avoid going to certain places for safety reasons. Precisely, home delivery is one of the strengths of this channel, and now it has strengthened like never before. The level of unemployment continues increasing in our countries, and direct selling has become one of the best options to start with a new business or entrepreneurship in the midst of the adverse situations we are facing. That is why in our country, in Ecuador and in the world, more and more people, especially young millennials and centennials, are coming to the world of the direct selling because on it they find not only a source of income, but a path that allows them to achieve their goals, objectives, and their dreams. Due to the situation, many young people were left without economic resources and were not able to continue studying, for example, as well as others saw their dreams frustrated. It is then when direct selling comes to people's lives to help solve many of the negative effects caused by the pandemic. Regarding about how companies reacted, we can say that we had never imagined their capacity for such timely reaction, as well as we were amazed by the human being himself in time of crisis. Everything that was planned to be implemented in 4 or 5 or more years had to be done in just 3 months, as the phrase adapt or die says, and the test was the pandemic. A scenario that was not contemplated in any roadmap, in any map, in any strategic plan, but it suddenly appeared in our lives that even now we continue to learn how to react to constantly changing circumstances. From then on, and talking about direct selling, the demonstration of products very typical of this industry began to be carried out through platforms as Zoom, such as Skype, webinars, among others. And we found that we can also create positive experiences and emotions in others through a screen. We had to learn by force, but we did it. We began to discover the benefits of technology because before we had to travel miles to visit personally our clients, our independent distributors. Now, through a Zoom meeting, we can connect with all the cities in our country, and even with other countries in the world. Direct selling today transcends borders and brings people closer together. However, nothing can replace personal face-to-face contact, very particular in the direct selling industry. About online catalogs, already most of the companies had implemented them, but it was the opportunity to accelerate the digitalization in the people. The same case comes to the banking area, where companies have to teach independent entrepreneurs to pay and collect through their smartphones. Consumer trends also have changed as we became more demanding. We learned to value social responsibility, environmental care, no animal testing, the ethical framework in which companies operate, and the social selling tool. Customers began to look for products that have a purpose behind them and that generates value for others. Those brands that demonstrated empathy and concerns for the community were and are today the preferred ones by new customers for us. For this reason, today the certification in the Code of Ethics program that we promote in our association takes a great relevance. In another topic which is worth sharing with you, I will refer to how we faced the most difficult times of the crisis when we could not sell or buy due to the confinement. It is when the union and the association work becomes the most important added value to all of our members. As association, we had and continue to have an excellent relationship with government authorities. They understand the importance of the direct selling as an engine of the economy. They asked to create biosafety protocols for the sector, and thanks to that, economic reactivation of this important industry in Ecuador began to take place sooner than we thought. Times are still very difficult, but the lessons are many. Many of these were learned through pain, with sadness, with anguish at times, but all this has made us stronger. Those of us in direct selling need to motivate others, and when we do, we also motivate ourselves. That reverts to an immense capacity for resilience that becomes contagious, encourage everyone, and is also very characteristics of direct selling people. We have learned to live with the enemy, and by taking all the biosecurity measures, we can make the wheel of the economy roll. Direct selling has not stopped, nor will it stop, because it is the passion, the need, the resilience of its people which makes this fascinating channel effective more than ever before. We have a future ahead of us, and the best thing of all is that we can give it the way that we want. Thank you.
And how, of course, there was a lot of similarities you shared, which what we faced in India and over even in Ecuador, the companies have responded very excellently. And what did, as an association, since you represent the Direct Selling Association of Ecuador, did your association went out of the way, or there were any things which you helped companies to combine together and do some activities together? That is what I would also like to know, so that, you know, as a Chamber of Commerce, ASSOCHAM can also learn from your specific experience of supporting the direct selling industry in Ecuador.
Yes, and we think it's very important to say that the things that the economic reactivation will go aligned with the vaccination plans in Ecuador. This is advanced but slowly. Maybe in one more we will be organizing our events meetings in person by taking all the biosecurity measures. It's important to say that our companies are doing a very important job, social work, as we do as the association, as companies are training hundreds of thousands of people in the digital world in our country and in our countries around the world. As association, we support our companies, and one thing that is very important now is to continue informing in the most important things that is happening now in the country and in other countries, and especially talking about the direct selling, how the direct selling is facing the situation around the world. But this is our, the representation is our most important added value for our companies, especially when we have a very good relation with our control authorities, government authorities in our country.
Okay, thank you so much. And I really appreciate to spare time and be with us today. Thank you so much, Maria. Now over to our last speaker, and who's always supported us a lot, Mr. Naresh Dixit. Welcome, Mr. Dixit Saab, again on the show. And you know, we would like to today, what focus we want from you is specifically that, you know, how did you motivate your direct sellers to continue their business, because it was a shock when the pandemic hit us last year. Of course, in the second pandemic, we were geared up from learnings from the past. However, give us 3 skills which you imparted to your direct sellers to see that the industry continues to grow and not lose the turnover. So over to you, Mr. Naresh Dixit.
Thank you. Namaskar. Good evening to everyone. Thank you, Chavi. And I thank ASSOCHAM for giving this lovely platform to every one of us to share our views and thoughts with each other. And I welcome all the guests, especially our international guests, Madam Patricia and Maria. Welcome to the platform ASSOCHAM and sharing your valuable ideas and thoughts for direct selling. And I congratulate all the distributors, the associates who are there in direct selling, and the providers, the panelists sitting over here in direct selling. I salute all the distributors for, I call them as a COVID warrior. They have been a COVID warrior, and I always appreciated them because they have, during this time, they have been helping people. When people were going out of job, out of business, they were the one who actually helped people to earn their living also at every platform, every segment of people. And during this time, I said, people had come together, as David earlier said, because spouse, they were not aware, a husband or a wife, they were not actually very clear about the business of direct selling. What if wife used to do, husband used not to be connected with her, or when husband was doing, the wife was not cooperating with her. So there was a difference between them. Here, during this pandemic time, when they sat together, they could see what direct selling is. People have started helping each other. The spouses started helping each other, and it has become a teamwork. And it is always the teamwork wins. So we have seen a lot of new winners in the industry who could not succeed from last few years. They had succeeded during this pandemic period. The direct sellers are actually positive thinkers. Me too, as a positive thinker. So we have taken positive out of this COVID period. We take it, this COVID was a time which has actually given us an opportunity to get into the business in a very firm way, and making other people have to come into the system to promote each other. This was a place during this pandemic period where we could understand technology. There were people who were not understanding technology about the device. They could help people to sell more devices like computers, mobiles and all those things, because they had to upgrade themselves. They have to go for meetings over webinar, over Zoom. So they could learn new things and taught people new things. So now they started growing, educating themselves and educating others to work from home. They curtailed down the expenses which they used to do outside for traveling, hotel stay, and all those things was curtailed down, and they could give valuable time to their family. There was a lot of differences which came when they were working together. The differences collapsed. तो ये बहुत अच्छा टाइम रहा था. मैं चाहूंगा थोड़ा हिंदी में बोलने के लिए, क्योंकि हमारे डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर्स भी हैं जो समझ पाए. मैं आप सबको सैल्यूट करता हूं कि इस दौरान में आपने एक अच्छे रिलेशन अपने परिवार में बनाए. अपने हस्बैंड ने अपनी वाइफ और वाइफ ने हस्बैंड के साथ में बच्चों के साथ मिलकर एक टीम वर्क जाहिर किया, और आप लोग ने इस बुरे हाल में ये दिखा दिया कि यस, कि डायरेक्ट सेलिंग एक ऐसा बिजनेस है जहां पे पूरे बिजनेसेस डाउन जा रहे हैं, बट डायरेक्ट सेलिंग इज गोइंग अप. आपने खुद भी अर्निंग सोर्सेज रखे. पेंडेमिक में आपको ज्यादा असर नहीं हुआ. आपने और लोगों को जरिया दिया कि भैया वो भी कमा सके और बहुत अर्निंग्स पहुंचा सके. डिवाइसेस को यूज करके अपने आप को अपग्रेड किया. और ये माहौल में जो चीज बेस्ट हुई, जो रिटेल कंपनीज है, अदर कंपनीज देख रहे थे कि क्या हो रहा है, व्हाट इज दिस डायरेक्ट सेलिंग कंपनी इज डूइंग, कि इनके बिजनेस को कोई ज्यादा फर्क नहीं पड़ा, whereas they had collapsed. So आज मैं देखता हूँ कई कंपनी has approached us also and must be approaching you people also, like उड़ान. मैं इनके इतने कस्टमर्स हैं, इतने सारे प्रोडक्ट्स लेकर आए. They are approaching to get into direct selling because their retail market has actually crashed. So it is again, ये direct sellers हैं, आप लोग हैं जो प्लेटफॉर्म प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं. प्लीज गिव द बेस्ट पॉसिबल टू डायरेक्ट सेलर्स. और जो एसोसिएट्स हैं जो उनके साथ में डायरेक्ट सेलिंग में होते हैं, उन सबको भी ये कहूंगा, गिव रीच टू मैक्सिमम पीपल, गिव द राइट थिंग टू देम, और गिव देम एजुकेशन प्लस अ सोर्स ऑफ अर्निंग. This is the only industry in the world which can actually give employment to 100% people if they are explained in a proper manner, and they are known कि भैया ये काम अच्छा है, earning revenue हो सकती है, no matter कोई भी disasters आ जाए, this is a business which can actually work. I think there's a lot of time has been spent because everyone has given so much of inputs to everyone. This time I will not take much of your time because time is running out. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity. And again, I thanks everyone of the panelists, especially our international guests. Thank you for coming and joining us at this platform and giving your international views also, and the kind of business you're doing and the way you're adopting internationally or in your country would be helpful for each other to progress in this business. Thank you, Chavi, and thank you, ASSOCHAM. Chavi, you're not audible.
Yes, yeah, that is okay. So now coming back to this, thanks to each one of you to spare time, and talk to all of us together, and also many viewers who are watching us. I wanted to sum up in, 3 parameters which we've learned today, that, MSME is the heartbeat of Indian industry, which will continue to be. And direct selling will definitely empower them and also gain benefit from them. So that is one thing which is a constant in the Indian industry. Second, of course, is that, health supplements will continue for a larger decade to ensure that, people are going to focus on the food which we are taking, the supplements which we are taking. So it's not about just supplements, it's also about everything external or internal. The focus will be on the human body as such. That is again going to be a constant. And what we learned from our international guests was that, there are they also activated through the power of social media. So there will be a lot of convergence between social media, social selling, social commerce, and there will be a lot of interaction, and personal touch will continue to be the core of direct selling. That's what we got to know from today's session from so many panelists. Thank you, each one of you. And now over to Mr. Rajora. He would like to speak to, I guess, all of us and tell us if there is something else he would want to share.
Thank you, Chavi. It was indeed a wonderful discussion. In fact, after a long time, we had such a long and very in-depth discussion on all aspects of the direct selling industry. We are really grateful to all the speakers, participants, and on behalf of ASSOCHAM, I convey my grateful thanks to chair, co-chair, and our international speakers especially. Thank you so much, madam. And of course, Chavi for managing this discussion, and all the speakers. And we look forward to having your support and presence in our next webinar on this. It is a very important subject where we are having this discussion, and this is a very, upcoming kind of solutions to the consumers. Is not only in such a pandemic, or even in the future also, because they get so much of items, so much of preferences sitting at home. My grateful thanks to each and everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank
ASSOCHAM, Chavi, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rajora. Thank you so much, panelists. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Stay safe.